But I guess the starting point for me, just to explain to everyone listening, NIL, name, image, and likeness. That's a rule that came out 18 months ago. Give us the explanation on that first, and then maybe we can link into how that's evolving within tennis and what it potentially means for people looking for tennis scholarships and how that landscape's going to look.
Yeah, I guess it just allows players now to make more money. So back in our day, we weren't even allowed to really coach and be paid for coaching. So now players can go and model, or they can represent a company and be paid on top of their scholarship for this. So I think if anyone's seen the Johnny Manziel documentary, which came out a while ago, it's pretty startling with how much he kind of money he generated, but how little support he really had. So it's an interesting documentary where you can see him making money outside of his scholarship, and that's kind of what's coming in nowadays.
But in terms of that, for me, right, I get it. So there's obviously LSU, there's Livy Dunn at LSU, gymnast, who I'm not even sure she's in the team, but the starting lineup. But she's making millions and millions and millions, and she's on the front cover of Sports Illustrated. She's got 8-10 million people followers on Instagram. Market value, that makes sense. I get it. She's bringing that money in. You know, the big football players, the big basketball players, they're bringing the money in. They have market value. You can justify and validate the money that they are making. Joe Blogs from Romania, ranked 150 in the world juniors. Sorry, Joe, but you ain't a lot of market. You know, you don't have a great market value coming from a little town in Romania. Surely that's going to cause a problem at some point. Surely there's going to have to be some justification, because I'm hearing figures like 150, 200 grand a semester that some of these players are being paid. You know, how's that being justified? And what happens? What are the NCAA going to do about that, do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I watched Johnny Manziel because initially I thought, well, NIL, I don't really understand it. Not sure I agree with it. But then I watched him and I thought, you know what? These big time football players, basketball, they are generating a lot of money. So it kind of makes sense. But tennis, it's a non-revenue sport. We're not bringing anything in. And we have a lot of players now who on placement are kind of saying, well, look, I'm going to transfer here because I'm going to get given more money. So I think that's what worries me more. It's kind of nail in the coffin a little bit for these types of sports where we're not bringing in the big bucks, but we're having to pay a lot of money out for these tennis players, or maybe even soccer players, baseball. And so that's what's worrying, I think, many coaches and placement specialists.
Because there's the thing also for me on that is, I've talked about this quite a bit on the podcast, so I don't want to be a broken record. Entitlement stinks with parents of younger players and then younger players. And I see it happening from the ages of 9 and 10 now, where these big management companies are offering certain things, but they're talking in a way around parents that their kid is entitled to train for free at some academy, or they're entitled to this. And then we're seeing it all over social media. These young kids are being encouraged to have big social media following. If we take the Livy Dunn example, you can be crap at tennis but have 8 million people following you, and that will get you a lot of money in terms of coming to, because you are of value to that university, and from a sponsorship standpoint. That's also not a route we want to go down either, because it feels to me like there's a bit of a dark route here. And the last one I'd say is, if there isn't market value there, donor fatigue. There's only so much money someone's going to donate to a program. It's not going to last forever, right? You know, that's not going to. So how is this going to be a sustainable process that's going to work over the next 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years? So at first glance, it seems exciting. But when you dig a little bit, it feels like this will burst quite quick.
Yeah, and I think that's what worries a lot of us. It's for me, I view it, and no one knows. There's a lot of what ifs. It's a changing landscape pretty much weekly. For me, I probably view it as there'll be 3 tiers. So you'll have those top tier teams where the universities are going all in for the tennis team. They're giving them the maximum scholarships. They can pay their players. So they're going after the very best players in the world. There won't be many universities like that. Then there'll be the second tier where it'll probably be the rest. So anyone, let's say there's 10 schools going fully in, the rest might then go tier 2, where business as usual, but budget cuts, which we're already seeing. Then it might be like tier 3, where more schools go to the division 3 model. So like Marquette University, which was a big powerhouse in our day for tennis, they did really well. They're on a D3 type model now, where people are paying a lot more money to attend. So that's how.
What's a D3 model? What's a D3 model?
So if you're in NCAA D1 and D2, you can get athletic scholarships, which is why many players gravitate towards those divisions, because it brings the cost down. So you get academic and athletic put together. The Division 3, there's 2 types of Division 3s. There's the very, very elite academic schools, like a Tufts or a University of Chicago, where
MIT.
Yeah, MIT, they offer you financial aid, so based on your household income. And then there's the other D3s who can offer you academic aid, but no D3 can offer you athletic scholarship. So that might be how a lot of Division 1s, Division 2s survive this, by changing their model a little bit.
Because just to get this bit clear, so there's NIL, but my understanding is one of the new rule changes is, whereas previously a Division 1 school must offer 8 scholarships for females and 4.5 scholarships for males. That's all linked to the Title IX rule, equality, obviously American football taking up so many scholarships and not having the equivalent female sport. Now, my understanding is now the roster, basically how many people you can have in your team, is going to 10. But if the school support it, you can have up to 10 scholarships. However, that's at maximum. At minimum, you no longer have the minimum requirement of offering 4.5 scholarships. So you now could also remove the scholarships from sports like tennis. So now it's becoming a lot more earn your own money, and it's up to the university what they do with the budget. Is that how I'm understanding it correctly?
Yeah, so let's say a school always kind of goes deep into nationals in a certain sport, and another sport really struggles. An AD might say, hey, we're never going to win nationals in, I don't know, volleyball. So we're going to take 5 scholarships from volleyball and we're going to give it to the tennis team.
So in layman's terms, Sarah, because I'm an optimist and I'm like, whoa, there's opportunity here. Like, come on, tennis is a global sport. Tennis is an incredible sport. Sorry, volleyball players. Let's take your scholarships. Sorry, synchronized swimmers. We're going to take your scholarships as well. Sorry, actually, why couldn't there be 100 universities that have got 10 scholarships, men and women's tennis? It's a playground for people that are looking to be professional tennis players. We take the Australian Open last year, US Open last year. There's like 21 out of the 128 singles players in the men's side are from college, 7 or 8 on the women's side. On the men's doubles, 44 in the draw, and I believe women's doubles like 20. So this is a legit pathway to pro sport. It's a global sport. It's the best sport in the world. Why can't we get 100 universities offering these 10 scholarships, and US college becomes like this absolute place where everyone goes, but we have spaces for thousands and thousands of developing tennis players?